Good afternoon. I am Senator Adrienne Johnson of the 30th Illinois Legislative District. I would like to welcome everyone to our multimedia show in the district. We are going to meet with community members of the 30th District to learn about their efforts to make our community a better place to live, work, and recreate, and to amplify the great work they are doing in the 30th District and Lake County. Just a reminder, new episodes will be uploaded every Friday on all of our social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify, to make the information shared as accessible as possible. If you would like to participate in our next video, please contact our office. Today, we have the pleasure of meeting with Celeste Flores from Mano a Mano Family Resource Center. Hola, Celeste.
Hola, Senator Johnson. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing well.
Great. Thank you so much for being our guest today.
Yes.
And for the outstanding, and I must say, amazing work you are doing at Mano a Mano and the work that Mano a Mano has done in Lake County. Before we get started with some of the prepared questions, would you like to make a few remarks?
Yeah, so, thank you for having us on. It's an honor. Mano a Mano has been an organization for over 20 years, and our main office is in Round Lake Park, but we also have a satellite office in North Chicago, and then we also have community offices across both Lake County and McHenry County. So we cover two counties, and I'm the director of community building, and very excited to continue engaging the community, not only in our direct services, but also trying to look at what are the root issues, why are some of these issues here, what is the root cause, and trying to address that. So really grateful to be here with you, and thank you for all the work that you've done. You've hit the ground running, and really appreciate you, creating these spaces, right, for the community to be able to be engaged and informed.
No, thank you so much for your remarks, Celeste, and thank you for the work you're doing. I tell you, they picked the right person to lead their community efforts. You are such an amazing person, and I've been watching you, and I'm so impressed. So let's get started. I have a few questions. So I know you touched on it a little bit. You talked about the areas that Mano a Mano is representing and serving. But can you tell me about your mission and the goals of the organization?
Yeah, so our mission is to empower the immigrant families to fully participate in their community. And this is a variety of ways that this can happen. We have a lot of different programs. And so I'll quickly go over them and give really brief remarks. We have the Engaged Citizens Program, which is focused on helping immigrants obtain their best immigration status available for them through quality, reliable, and affordable immigration legal services. At Mano a Mano, we have people that are recognized by the Department of Justice Office, DOJ's of Legal Assistance Programs, OPA. And we're also authorized to provide immigration legal services without the presence of an attorney through our accreditation representatives. We also have our Productive Parents program, and it's focused on adult learning, workforce development, and improving community members' economic prosperities and opportunities. At Mano a Mano, we're committed to providing a trusted and safe environment where adults of all ages can come to learn, gain new skills, find a better job. We meet with our clients where they're at educationally and work with them to establish goals that they can achieve. We have our family healthy programs, and it's focused on helping immigrant families integrate and orient themselves into the U.S. healthcare system and to live their healthiest life. And our Successful Children's Program, we're focused on preparing parents and children to succeed in the U.S. school system by making sure that they have the tools and resources to start kindergarten with the skills they need to succeed. 85% of the children we work with had never gone to preschool, which means that their first day in kindergarten is their first time of any exposure of the academic content. And we want to make sure that they start at the grade level they succeed in. And that's something for me. I'm a daughter of immigrant parents. And my first language is Spanish. And I went to school in Woodlands. And at that time, they did not have ESL. They didn't have these programs. And I don't start having memories of school until second grade, but really it's third grade where I start having memories of going to school. And I think it's because I was in a Spanish household and was not prepared to go into the school system. And obviously all of these programs, we continue to host them virtually. And due to the pandemic, every organization, everyone's life has changed. And because of that, we took some initiatives, right? We're currently focusing our COVID-19 response project. Since the pandemic started, we have not stopped doing learning, but we quickly realized we needed to bring assistance to the community, immediate needs, and serving the communities by providing housing, rental assistance, utility assistance, mortgage assistance, food assistance, prescription medical assistance, and DACA renewal fees, right? PPE, face masks. We're providing all of that. And through our community healthy programs, we are also educating the community, right? And not only just about COVID, but also how to register for the vaccine and dispelling some of the beliefs about the vaccine and how, unsafe it is. So we have our promotoras, we call them in Spanish. They're the ones that are, the ones that are taught to the community. But those are a lot of the programs that we have. Those are not the ones that I focus on, but we just have an amazing staff and, over 20 years of working within the community to provide services.
No, thank you. Wow. I mean, that's just a wide range of services, necessary and important services. I like the fact that you focus on helping immigrant families navigate the school system, because it's really important for them to be engaged, in this process, right? So that they can understand what their kids are going through and they can make sure everyone's successful, the kids successfully kind of navigating school too. And then of course, with the COVID relief. And I like how you also mentioned that in addition to the food and the rental assistance and, the education, the information, that you're also kind of dispelling the myths about the vaccines and making sure people know that they are safe. And that is important for everyone to get vaccinated. And I would think too, you're probably focusing on some ongoing COVID testing too. I think that's really important as well.
Yes, we've definitely partnered to bring mobile testing to areas, right? We have obviously the free testing site in Waukegan that's there. I don't know if it's every day, but mostly every day. But we brought some to the Round Lake areas, the Mundelein areas, and just trying to get people to get tested, right? I mean, the percentages are down now, but when COVID first hit, especially here in Lake County, it was the Latino community that was, hit the biggest, but we don't have that percentage. I forget all the numbers. I'm not a science person or a math person. I'm a talker. But it was something that we saw, and we're working with other nonprofits, right, to get that word out, to get people to be willing to get tested, to stay home, to quarantine, and understand that, because a lot of the times our household, we have more than one family living in that house, right? So the exposure rate could be higher. My parents didn't stop working when the pandemic started. They were going out to their work. My dad works at a factory. So, it's real. I mean, I had the privilege of being able to stay home because I work for a nonprofit and deciding how much exposure I would get. But that was not something that that wasn't a thing for him. He wasn't asked, oh, do you want to work from home? He loads and unloads trucks. So he has to show up every day.
Oh, yeah. Your dads are frontline heroes, right? The essential workers, and we have to protect them. So very good. Well, Celeste, I think I know the answer to this question, but does your organization have any legislative priorities that you're focusing on?
Yeah, that's we do. We have always been engaged when it comes to legislative priorities, but it's We've never had a full-time person, so I get to be that person. I'm very excited. It's also very daunting, but I started back in February with Mano, and that is one of my main focuses for the work that I'm going to be doing is working both at the local, the federal, and the state level. And the way we had been doing this work was thanks to a partnership with the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights. ICER, they're also a statewide organization that is member-based. So Mano is one of those members. ASIS, who has their office in Waukegan, is a member, and we have several other in Lake County that are members with them. So through them, we decide what our legislative priorities are. Do you want me to go a little more in depth on those?
Yeah, yes, give us some examples of some of the legislation you're focusing on and how I can work with you.
Yes, definitely. So at the federal level, I think we have a new president, we have a new administration. So we're advocating for a pathway to citizenship for the 11 million undocumented community members we have, and a pathway to citizenship that does not criminalize a portion of our community. And this is a real danger that we're seeing right now with some of the newest immigration bills that have been introduced. They have language with new bars that deprive certain individuals access to a pathway to citizenship, crime-related bars to legislative incorporations that are, racist, and they're based on the criminal illegal system into the immigration system, and it poses an unjust and dual punishment for someone that shouldn't be subject to it twice. We all know the realities of, immigrant communities. It's a very different experience if you're someone that maybe looks like me or maybe has blonde hair. In my family, we have everything from pearly, dark skin to blue eyes, blonde hair, and it's very different reality for, when we think immigrants, most of us probably think of Latin America, but we have the Caribbeans, we have other countries as well, and at least
we're a country of immigrants, right?
So we want to make sure that we're thinking about everyone, and we know that sometimes our criminal system, it can be racist, it can have blinders, and the same thing can happen with the immigrant community. They are stopped more. If you're darker skinned, you're subject to being imprisoned if you're darker skinned. So we want to make sure that if that happens, they're not also now paying with that here when they're trying to become citizens. We've also seen the introduction of language that allows for a second review process. And this enables the government to deny an application based on a conviction, juvenile delinquency proceedings, or even unproven allegations of conduct that are deemed as gang-related. And this is a dangerous precedent to set forward, especially in a current administration that is democratic, that is talking about a pathway to citizenship. We shouldn't be putting these barriers that potentially criminalize someone in an unproven situation. People sometimes are young and make mistakes and should be given a second chance. I do not advocate for people to drink and drive, but some people do that, right? And it happens. And if you have a DUI, a simple DUI, and if you're a DACA recipient, wouldn't make you ineligible to a pathway to citizenship. Very minor things. So those are some of the things at the federal level. But at the state level, I am so excited that you are here. I was born and raised in Lake County. This District 30 has been my district forever. And really, it's a breath of fresh air. And with ICER, we have three main pillars that we're working on, and we have some legislation as well. But the pillars is really the reason why we have the legislation we do. Our first pillar is safety for all. So obviously, there has been police murders of brothers and sisters that are African American for years, for decades, and phones, I think, have really changed the way people see things. I think the pandemic really forced individuals privileged to see the reality that this community has known forever, right? And because of the murder of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and so many more, the nation's been forced to figure out what is going on with racial equity, what is going on with police practicing. So for us, when we say safety for all, we really want to make sure that the abuse and neglect that has happened with our brothers and sisters is front and center. But we also want to bring light to the fact that this kind of neglect is also happening with immigration and customs enforcement facilities, and they've caused the most death of, in custody for the last 15 years. People should not be dying when they're being held by a government agency. These threats to our community are part of the same systems that are oppressive and continue to despair members of our community and disrupt communities' livelihoods and prosperity. Everyone should feel safe. So we are committed to pushing our state and our nation to build a better version of how we ensure public safety and dismantle the practices and institutions that have failed us, and to protect our community and re-envision, right? What does community look like? What could it mean? And getting those answers from the community members. Our second pillar is healthcare for all. The COVID pandemic has taken a disproportionate toll on the physical and emotional well-being of immigrants and Black communities. And while we celebrate the great state-level victories, assuring that Illinois residents are covered for COVID testing, treatment, and vaccines, regardless of immigration status, and that all Illinois of 65 or older can get the vaccine. And I know it's opened up now since then, right? Mm-hmm. We need to make sure that community members know, right, that they have access to these things. And we want to make sure that this information is getting out to them. There's a threat from the Supreme Court ruling striking down the Affordable Care Act. It would delay and set back the equity coverages and access, right? So we're committed to pushing the state level solutions to broaden healthcare coverage and facilities access to healthcare for all Illinoisans, regardless of immigration status, income, language, race, and neighborhood. And our final pillar is economic security for all. The economic shutdown caused by COVID-19 precaution continues to leave many families unable to pay rent, to buy food, their necessities, to just maintain a livelihood. So we're committed to pushing our state for solutions that will address the needs of sustainable basis, that will provide support beyond the current crisis, with a particular emphasis on solutions that provide direct cash assistance to those most in need, regardless of status. And that's something that at the federal level, we saw the immigrant community being left out of. So at Mano, we created what we call Tanda, and we are providing the need, right? Like I had mentioned earlier, rental assistance, food, anything anyone had. We had a very simple application that needed to be filled out, and you just had to have not been able to qualify for support at the federal level, because we saw that the undocumented community was being left behind, that the immigrant community was being left behind, and we wanted to make sure to step up and fill that void.
Wow, thank you. That's a lot of great work. And as you know, your Mano has, you have good alignment with a lot of what I'm focusing on. And as you know, with the Illinois Legislative Black Caucus passing these historic and monumental bills that are offering protection, as you described, for Black and Brown people. But I think for people in general, because it isn't just for Black and Brown people, it's going to improve the lives of people across Illinois for all Illinoisans, but really to address the issues. So with the criminal justice reform, the Safety Act that was passed, and the governor has then signed the education and workforce development. And again, that passed during lame duck, and the governor signed that pillar as well, that bill. And then, of course, the economic access, equity, and opportunity. And that bill passed during lame duck, and it was signed by the governor. And I'm just so proud that just yesterday, the fourth pillar bill, the healthcare and human services bill, passed. So we're really excited about that. And that will cover and protect a lot of people. But as you mentioned, the bills, the Black Caucus pillar, it really does kind of strip out racism from these systems. So really focusing on eradicating racism, and and that's so important, and that's going to help so many people in our community and across Illinois. And, and I mentioned too, we have good alignment. So making sure we're protecting our immigrants and making sure they're getting the services that they deserve, resources, as you described, where there's food and checks and credit, tax credits, because these are hardworking people who make our community great in what it is today. And so that is top of heart and top of mind for me. But I think you know that, Celeste. So I think
do. I don't think I'll ever forget the first meeting we had. I had never heard a senator openly say we need to eradicate racism. I was like, who is Senator Adriana Johnson?
Yes, and that's exactly right. And we're going to keep fighting. And, because not only for residents in the 30th district, throughout Illinois, and we want to make sure our voices are heard. And it's important because not only will my voice be heard, but my vote will be heard in Springfield. So I just love, working with you and look forward to working with you and Mano a Mano in the future. So, you know what, as we wrap up, because we've spent a lot of great time, thank you for sharing all the great work you're doing. And this is part of what we're trying to do here within the district multimedia show. We want to highlight, great organizations like Mano a Mano so that people know the resources that are available to them and the work that you're doing on behalf of the community. So in just wrapping up, if you have any comments before I wrap up, I want to give you an opportunity to let people know how they can reach your organization and what are some of the upcoming events that you have.
Yeah, so you can contact us. We have through our website. It's mamfcr.org. We also have an email address, info@mamfrc.org. And our phone number to our office is 847-201-1521. We are on social media as well. You can send us a message there. And we do have a couple of events coming up. Like I said, everything has moved virtually, and we are providing workshops online. So we have a workshop for DACA recipients. If you're, thinking about, if you haven't, there's still people that haven't applied, right? So we go over the eligibility requirements and all the documents you need to apply. We'll be having 2 workshops. One's April 5th. At 4 p.m. and we can put the info afterwards. I know you'll put these on, and then on April 19th as well. They'll both be in Zoom, and then we also have in Spanish a workshop for citizenship. So we go over what's needed and everything else when it comes to citizenship. That will be on the 12th of April, and it'll also be on Zoom.
Great. Well, thank you so much. Well, we're going to wrap up, but before we wrap up, I should give a little shout out to some of the events that we have going on in my office. So some of the upcoming events include April 7th, we have an environmental town hall meeting. And I hope all the community members who are really passionate about, protecting our environment to tune in. It's going to be on Zoom. And then on April 17th, we have the launch of our Coffee and Connect. It's a roundtable. We have just frank conversations, informal conversations with community members as well. So that's on April 17th. And then April 22nd, and you know about this, Celeste, we're going to have our Monarch Butterfly Day. And really, we're going to focus, on environmental justice work that we have going on, as well as immigrant rights in Illinois. So that's a great event that I'm looking forward to. We're looking forward to partnering with you and other community members, and hope to see everyone there. You can get this information from our social media platforms, and we look forward to seeing everyone at our upcoming events. Well, Celeste, I think that wraps up our show today. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing information about the great work you're doing at Mano a Mano. And we look forward to seeing for years to come the great work that you're going to continue to do in our community.
No, thank you so much. And, obviously at Mano a Mano, our focus is the immigrant community, but we stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in every community, but especially the Black community. I know that, for me, I say that I can't achieve liberation until a Black woman achieves liberation, right? And I think it's so important that you know, a lot of the times people are trying to pin different minority groups together, but we are definitely stronger together. And I strongly believe that my liberation comes with the liberation of the African American community. And a lot of people probably know me from the environmental justice movement, but even in that movement, I've always said we can't achieve climate justice without racial justice, right? So we have to keep fighting. We have to keep changing the narrative and changing hearts and minds, and working together and showing up, because it's not going to be overnight. But I'm so thankful to be on this journey with you and other individuals, because I know we're going to make that change in this district.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Celeste. You have a great rest of the day, and we look forward to seeing everyone in a couple of weeks. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.